Welcome back, y'all. This is another episode of Fight Court. I'm your boy, Dean Thomas, all the way live, and my boy, Ryan Quinn, joining me. Ryan, what's going on?
Not much. What's going on with you? You were busy this weekend.
Oh, man, I was busy this weekend. I was out in Las Vegas all week last week. Got in with Team Brady last Sunday. Spent the whole week in Vegas with Sean Brady. And
talk about Saturday. I want to cut you off to talk about you. Tell us about Saturday. Tell us about what happened. Like, you're an analyst. You went in the phone.
Yes.
Put on your.
So I had agreed to do the analyst, the pre-show and the post-show. But I mean, it gets kind of tricky because it's a lot of hats you got to wear, and it's a lot of different perspectives from analyzing a fight from. So on Friday, I did the pre-show with Paul Felder. Completely biased because Paul Felder's from Philly and had trained with Sean Brady for the last 11 years. And then it's me who was coaching Brady. So I did the pre-show on Friday. After the pre-show, I'm eating dinner with Sean Brady. But then Saturday rolls around. You know, we do the shakeout at the Apex. I'm with Sean Brady at the shakeout. They go home. I shower, change my clothes, get dressed, and get prepared to do another series of talking on the pre-show before the event. Then after that, I got to go on set to watch the fights and analyze the fights as a complete analyst during the fights. After the prelims, I got to get changed again back into my Sean Brady outfit, go warm Sean up, get him ready to go fights Gilbert Burns. After that, as soon as it's over, I'm taking pictures inside the octagon. As soon as that's over, I got to run to the back, change my clothes, get back on set to do the post show. Sean Brady's already on set even before me. He didn't have to change. But I get back and do the post show, and it's just, man, steamrolling right through, man.
You're like, you remember Mrs. Doubtfire? Rest in peace, Robin Williams, when he was back and forth between the nanny to himself when he was trying to do an interview and be a nanny in the same restaurant.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of like that, man. You're kind of the closest I got to this level was with with Jillian. Sometimes I do the analyst work with Jillian when I'm coaching her, but that's a little easier because I'm not like doing the post show and the pre show. I'm normally just like, but so the last time I did that with her, I actually wore my pants underneath the workout pants just to make I just put it on over my outfit. But with this, oh man! I think I did that in Toronto, so it was a little colder, so it was a little easier to digest that. But man, listen, when you're in this game and you love the game, you want to stay in it. And if this is the way that I can stay in it, I'm doing it. This is the way I stay in it.
You hit the nail on the head. Like, I was actually just thinking this morning, like, even just this is how I stay involved. And this is. And, like we have a lot of people have worn many hats in this, from fighter to coach to analyst, podcaster, whatever, manager, whatever the case may be. Right. Like we got to stay in it, so that's not you're to the 10th, but yeah, like I know exactly what you're saying.
And it's not easy because, it's not a lot of, I say it's not easy. Part of it is kind of easy, but it's not fully easy. Like, once you get your foot in the door and you have some value, then there is some level of I don't want to say comfort, but that you can stick around once your foot is in the door. But getting your foot in the door is hard. Getting your foot in the door is hard. And then if you fuck up, it's easy for them to replace you.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by there's, like, you can't get comfortable once you're in, but once you're in, if you know that you can do the job, you can keep the job. But once you fuck up and get too comfortable, they bring in the next man in, because there's a lot of people out there. I always joke, man. Yeah. I said, man, listen, Rampage want my looking for a fight job. You know what I'm saying? And if I don't deliver, they call him Rampage, Phil Rowe. You know what I'm saying? So I got to make sure that I do my job right.
And like everything else, it's like when you fuck up, you're the last person to find out. Your paper's already being served.
You find out on the internet.
Yeah.
you Ariel Hawani tell you that you done got fired.
What is going on with him right now? Like he left the show and now he's got the Ariel Helwani show I just saw yesterday. Like, what is up with that? What's
Well,
going on there?
I think he's like in control of his content, like all of it,
Yeah.
like his own channel. He runs it all himself. So like there's no middleman,
Yeah.
like
Okay.
and that's good, right?
Yeah.
Because especially with the views that he has, because he don't have to pay nobody, or he's not getting paid from somebody. So like if I do my show on Sirius XM, they get the money and then they pay me out. So with him controlling his boards and the content, he's paying himself. So like that's the way to go.
Yeah, I get it.
I mean, it'd be like us if we was, bankrolling here. We could just pay ourselves, but we working on that.
That first time we make $1, how we're gonna do with it? Is that what you're talking about?
We're gonna rip it in half. I'm gonna tape my half to my computer screen. You can tape your half to your computer screen.
Ryan Quinn suing partner Dean Thomas over $1 made for fight court, taking him to fight court.
Hey man, listen, ain't nobody ever gonna take me to court, man. I don't have the personality to be sued because I'm just gonna give it to you.
You don't want to deal with it.
I don't really fight for nothing like that, man. You know how people be like, oh, I'm suing them because they didn't want to give me my share. I'm just like, you know what, man? I don't got time to be in court like that. Like I'm like, yo, you should have it then. Shit.
It's really funny how much money you probably would cost yourself over small claim stuff. Is it really worth getting the money? It's like,
man, how did $200? Yeah, like a buddy of mine asked me last week. He was like, yo, can I borrow $200? Now I normally don't hang out with people. My friends, I don't hang out with friends that have to borrow money. Like I normally the people I hang with normally like are doing better than me, so they don't have to ask me for money. But I slum it every once in a while. So I got a buddy of mine who asked me for $200 to borrow $200. I was like, listen, I'm not even going down that road with you. If you need $200, I'm just going to give it to you, because if it come down to the point where I'm chasing you around for $200, we're not going to be friends no more. And I don't want that to happen. You know what I'm saying? I would rather just give it to you.
I lent money recently and the same thing. It's like, man, first of all, I don't want to have to think about it. So I'm like, you know what? It was $200. I got this, just whenever, man, just do your thing. You go take care of that. And then actually he was texting me a few times like, oh yeah, I'm like, listen, just if it shows up my account, cool. If not, don't worry about it. Like, I don't want to deal with it. I wouldn't have done it if I wanted to hold on to that energy,
Yeah.
Same deal.
Trust me, man. Don't even expect it back. In fact, don't even just tell them, just keep it, because somewhere in the back of your mind, you can be like, man, I remember I let this dude $200, man. And
Exactly.
He didn't, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And I'm like that too at work now too. Like when a buddy got a gig or something that he does, and and he's like, oh man, I can hook you up. So I go to him for the hookup, and they don't really deliver. Like I start looking at him sideways, like, yo, what's going on? Like I could have just paid somebody to do the shit right the first time. That shit pisses me off, actually.
Yeah. No, I agree too. Yeah, we've dealt with that as well around the house. Forget it.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Just pay some. I'm just gonna pay people. But anyway, let's get back on track. So I worked the weekend. Sean Brady victorious over Gilbert Burns, but I think the bigger story, Sean Brady's a rising star. His only loss is to the current champion. So we know that he has the potential to keep moving forward. So we know the direction he's going. But in terms of Gilbert Burns, there's only one direction he can go right now, and that is, to me, backwards. He's 2-4 in his last 6 fights. Former title challenger, 38 years old. Where does Gilbert go?
When we usually do this, when we usually talk about where a fighter goes after a loss, we usually talk where they're going to be on the card, what kind of ranked fighter they're going to fight, are they a gatekeeper, yada yada. But even though Gilbert's 38, I think that there's some infrastructure issues that he can address. One thing I noticed, his feint is horrible. Like his that would help a lot. Like I don't even know. Did you guys take that into consideration when you were game planning? Because whenever he feinted, it was just like, I can't even explain it. And that's so easy to throw right over the top of and initiate your opponent's combination in an exchange. Um, yeah, I think that he can sharpen a little bit of tools. Honestly, I think that he should probably box more, like straight box more. And I know I'm sure he does his fair share of mitt work and everything like that, but um, he was just getting so beaten on those calculated exchanges that Sean was throwing at him, or combinations. Like, it wasn't even exchanges; it was straight combinations by Sean, getting Gilbert to back up. And like, I think of, because I have a very similar fight style, or had a very similar fight style to Gilbert, and I think about how I would have changed when I got older. I wouldn't have been like, when I was younger, when I was fighting, I was so good at offensive combinations to power punches or takedowns. I think with him, because I always think of how I would change. I think that he should get feint and jab heavy, and then in the middle of exchanges, try to finish him, or get feint and jab heavy to get those exchanges and shoot under, feint and jab heavy to get the opponent to cover up when you're throwing those exchanges, throw them, a telephone booth style, and try to get the boxing from different angles so that the opponent will tighten up and you could shoot under that, and just kind of take what's given to you a little bit more than force what you're looking for. Because he started to, towards the end, Sean was just really hitting those combinations, whether to land power punches or just to set up takedowns, whatever the case. And clearly Gilbert still has some, because he did win some scrambling exchanges. Like, he had one part where I think it was round 2, where he actually did pretty well with a reshot to finishing a takedown. So there's clearly some pop still there within his step. I think he just needs to fix the little things. And then once he does that, then he could talk about getting into the fight. I think that he should take some time off and just really adjust how to fight at the latter stage of his career.
I mean, that's really what fighters have to do always, right? Is to, throughout your entire career, you're always evolving. You're getting older.
Should
like,
be. Mm-hmm.
Even like, not even from a physical standpoint, but like from a mental standpoint. So things can change with you, like your intentions of a fight, because like you're just getting, and you're in a different place in life. So it's like, I'm in this place in life where, like, I'm really angry. So, I need to sharpen up these elbows because I really want to bust a. And so, and as you get older, there is some commonalities in that. Like, you get a little bit slower. And I think when you talk about his feints, I think that has a lot to do with it. It's just his age. He's just older. And when you're older like that, now I'm not saying that can't be fixed, but he's going to have to spend and dedicate a lot of time to just working on those feints. And that means maybe eliminating his kicking game, because he has to sharpen up his boxing game so that he can be a better feinter with his hands.
I think right now it's such a major crack in the dam that he needs to get that. He needs to get that fixed. And I think a little more so he needs to do that stuff, because, like, sometimes when you're younger, like, I've had bad fights, and sometimes, like, I remember one time I had a draw I was pissed off about, and I got back on the wheel, because sometimes it's the cure for a hangover is a beer, get another fight. He can't do that now. He's just going to keep getting exposed if he does that. Take the 2 steps back, then work the boxing, then work the feints into your kicks, or at least to be able to defend kicks. But he definitely needs to take a step back in his training and just fix those minor issues.
Well, I think that the good, Robbie Lawler was in his corner. Mm-hmm. And to me, having conversations with Robbie, like on an intellectual level, like, Robbie probably has the best mindset for fighters in that entire gym, because he's been through it from the beginning and he's still in it. Like, he's still coaching guys. And I think that he can have that conversation with Gilbert and say, listen, you still got life left. You could take my approach. And that is to slow things down. Let's take out some of the kicks. Let's improve your defense. Robbie had really good defense moving forward because of his hand positioning. And that's something that Gilbert could probably fix, is, his hand positioning and his eyes, and then just probably take a page out of Robbie's book. And then at this point, you have to give up the aspirations of title, because you have to give up those aspirations, because you're going to be dealing with the best of the best every time.
Just worry about the next fight. And you bring up a great point about Robbie being in the corner. I said this when I was watching the fight. That right there shows that Gilbert's still dedicated, because Robbie wouldn't be there if Gilbert wasn't. He wouldn't waste the trip out there if Gilbert wasn't dedicated. So I think they could have that conversation with him. Another thing I did notice with Gilbert is he did have some head movement. but he wasn't moving his head with his punches. And I think that would fix some stuff with his right hand. If you go back and watch the fight, or you probably kept this in mind when you're in the corner, his right hand became a lot more telegraphed as the fight went on, whether it was straight or whether it was and I think if he just moved his head with his punches, it would clean up that right hand a little bit, and it wouldn't have to be so true down the middle.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, again, these are all things that can be fixed, and Gilbert's the type of guy that is dedicated enough to fix them if he wants to, right? If he can, man. And I would assume that he probably, because he's a competitor, like he's been competing in like jiu-jitsu from in the gi way back in the day. So he's a competitor. As long as he still has that in his heart, I still think there are a lot of like interesting and fun fights for him to make a living inside the octagon. Like I don't think his brother can anymore, but I think because I don't think his brother is a competitor like he is. His brother's kind of a talented kid who just never figured it out. But I think Gilbert's a great competitor. He's got a lot of dog in him, but I think he should give up that title aspiration and just say, you know what, I can still win fights and I can still beat people and I still want to have a career fight. And I think he's got another 3 years left of fighting guys in the middle, as long as they don't try to use his name to fight like Michael Morales and all. Like, but I think that there are some guys for him to fight. You know, Jeff Neal and these other guys that he could fight, or even behind that, you know, just fun fights behind that.
Jeff Neal would be a fun fight.
Yeah, it would be a fun fight. But I think there's a lot of guys that he can fight that would be interesting. And man, his ground game looked really good because Brady's a horse, and Gilbert was able to really, you know, neutralize that and have a lot of good moments for himself. He kept the fight interesting. That's why it's so. Talk about switching hats. You know, even in the corner, like I don't know how it looked from TV, but even in the corner, you know, I'm talking to John Marquez. He's like, "You think we got that round?" I'm like, "All right, I think we got that round." And then when the fight's over, I'm like, "I think we got at least 4 of them. I'm not sure."
Yeah.
And it turns out on 2 of the judges' cards, we got all 5.
Mm-hmm.
So like, it's really hard. It's really hard to score a fight when you're coaching a guy. Like you don't know, man. You don't know. And that's why I never was like, I think we got this round.
You know what we should do? We should probably talk about this after, but whatever. We are transparent with our audience. We should call Mike Mazzulli on here and debate with him why we need open scoring. That should be an episode.
Because he doesn't want open scoring, right?
No, he's very transparent with the fact he doesn't want it, but he's always up for the conversation, to his credit. So,
well, let's get him on here. Let's get him on here because I'd love to have that debate with him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we talked about it before. I mean, I went to the meeting to talk about it, but I think that's just something. But I mean, that was a very secluded meeting, and it was open to the people, but no one goes to it. But we can have that conversation here, and then we can put it out there. I think it would
be like, call your boy Andy Foster, bring him on, and whoever you want, bring him. We got.
I mean, it's easy. It's easy for them to not want open scoring because they don't have a dog in the fight.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'll save my opinions on that for when it happens. I think he'd be up for it too. So.
Yeah, let's get that going. So, in terms of potential opponents for Gilbert, any names stand out to you?
Yeah, I was trying to think of that. I like the Jeff Neal. Who else is at 170? He's not going up to 185. I didn't put any thoughts in any names right now. I would really hate to see him as a gatekeeper. I would rather see him as a fun fight type deal, like a Jeff Neal. I don't know. I think that's the best name that sticks out.
And I mean, and even to me, that's a little high up on the rankings. You know what I'm saying? I think that he could be going back and just being like, I don't know how much they pay him. That has a lot to do with it too. Like if they're paying him a lot of money, they're not allowing him to go backwards. And like,
you want to bring back Sage Northcutt?
Yeah, Let's bring Sage in and have him fight him. Yeah, CM Punk. But I mean, I want to see him. You know. A couple of guys who had a couple of good wins had a win on the Contender Series. Maybe had a couple of good fights.
Yeah, there you go.
You know, some guys like that he can go out and fight. But you know, I really like Gilbert as a competitor, and it sucked to actually have to compete against him. You know, because he's a really good dude. Everybody likes him. Really good dude, and it sucks to be a part of like his demise, right? Like at some level, you almost feel like you're a part of his demise. But the way I see it is like it was going to happen anyway. You know, that is the life cycle of a fighter. Well, you have your moments, you come back down. It's the life cycle of a fighter. It happens to everybody. I've been on both sides of it. You know, in fact, I was on the other side when he beat up Tyron on Tyron's way down. You know what I'm saying? So it happens to everybody.
You had a literal front row seat.
Yeah,
up and down.
I had a front row seat, man, and he mean mugged me in that fight, like, "Yo, what's up?" And I was like, "Oh man, wait till it comes back around."
Yeah.
Same thing with Usman. It's coming back around with Usman too. That's why Usman want that title shot, because he knows if they make him work, he's not going to have enough. He needs to, if he's going to win any other fight, like he could put all his eggs into the basket of a title fight, but he don't have enough eggs to do a contender fight and then a title fight. He knows that. That's why I don't think he's looking forward to do like a contenders fight.
And the best way to put it, anybody that he fights is going to fight him harder than he's fighting them, because he's the former champion and they want to fucking get that win. It's and it's not a knock against him. It's just, you all know what it's like, whether you're playing that game, the number one team in baseball, or if your fighters out there, you're going to put extra juice on everything, you know? So it's just, so I get it. I would want the title fight too.
And they know he got them old ass OJ Simpson knees. You know what I'm saying? So like everybody gonna be leg kicking his ass for sure now. So he know, all right, let me get Bilal. Bilal's not a big kicker, you know, so let me get Bilal. I'm a little taller than Bilal, you know, so I can
tomorrow, don't let Dean corner against you in that one. He's gonna be screaming juice. Go ahead.
Yeah, right. That's gonna be the key for take out them knees. Juice. Well, Ryan, it has been a pleasure as always, man. I know you got to get back to work. I'm actually headed to Austin, be on Joe Rogan podcast tomorrow, so I'll make sure we give some love on this podcast. I give some love on that one with this one.
That would be great. I'll get the thumbnail made up. Graphics Addicts, for those of you on Instagram and looking for thumbnails, he does great work. Check him out in my Instagram feeds.
What's his name?
Graphic Addicts.
Graphic Addicts. He does do good work. So, Ryan, man, I'm going to catch up with you soon. If you enjoyed the show, like, share, subscribe, comment, let your boys know. And on that note, this court is adjourned.
Later.